5 o'clock on the dot on this stormy Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, but right now I need to tell you about the danger in southern Middle Tennessee. Franklin County's under a tornado warning for the next 15 minutes. Now, this is part of the same system that is blamed for death and destruction due to possible tornadoes touching down from Texas to Ohio. Here's Rhiannon Alley.
Authorities near Louisville say the storms damaged at least 50 buildings, including homes.
What do you goes through your head in a moment like that?
Hey, there ain't nothing you can do. But it's going to get you. It's going to get you.
And farther south, damage in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Debris scattered.
Yeah, authorities working to confirm a number of fatalities in Ohio. And back here in southern Middle Tennessee, that tornado warning for Franklin County until 5:15. Channel 4 is reporting winds are being detected as strong as 78 miles per hour. Looks like Winchester is right now just to the west of where the rotation is with this radar-indicated tornado in Franklin County. Again, this is southern Middle Tennessee, right on the border with Alabama. Here in Nashville, Metro Police are investigating after a shootout on I-24 near Haywood Lane last night. It was just before 10 o'clock. One person was taken to the hospital. And today marks 7 days since the disappearance of Missouri college student Riley Strain. And police say they're trying to pinpoint his location by his phone and his watch.
Some of the data we're still waiting on. There's a legal process when you're getting some of this information. And so sometimes it's multiple steps. And a lot of it depends on the company that you're trying to get that information, whether it's social media or a cell phone company.
Right now, Strain's last known location was somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. He was last seen on March 8th after being asked to leave Luke Bryan's Broadway bar. Over at the state capitol, a bill is advancing requiring local law enforcement to communicate with federal immigration authorities when they come across illegal immigrants in Tennessee. There are other efforts to expand the law against transporting illegal immigrants to Tennessee. Right now, it's just for people who do it for money, but this new effort makes it a misdemeanor for any reason. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Darial Binger.
What goes up eventually comes down. The Dow fell 138 points. The NASDAQ gave up 49 and the S&P closed down 15. A mixed batch of economic reports pushed the markets lower. One showed a slight rise in wholesale prices last month. Former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin is putting together an investor group to buy TikTok now that the House passed a bill which would ban the popular video app in the U.S. if its China-based owner doesn't sell its stake. Mnuchin told CNBC TikTok should be owned by a U.S. business and that Beijing would never allow an American company to own something similar in China. He isn't saying who might be in the group. President Biden renewing his opposition to the planned sale of U.S. steel to Japan's Nippon Steel, saying the U.S. needs strong American steel companies powered by American steel workers. He's already expressed worries about what the sale could mean for union workers, supply chains, and national security.
All right, checking futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. It looks like Dow futures are up 55, NASDAQ up 18, and S&P up 8. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Happy Friday to you. It's 5:06, and I know I'm not Dan Mandis. I'm Johnny B. Dan is on his cruise vacation, but he will be back Monday morning. It should be interesting to hear what he's got to say about his eventful trip. I'm joined with Ken Weaver and Mason Fleming this morning. It has been pretty active. Before we get into all the pleasantries, let's go with Ken, and we do have a tornado warning. Is that right, Ken?
Tornado warning for South Middle Tennessee's Franklin County. This is southeast of Nashville, and this is a radar-indicated rotation, prompting the National Weather Service to issue this tornado warning for Franklin County until 5:15. So we got about 8 more minutes to go. Yeah. Right now, I'm looking at rotation detector on Channel 4. And it is showing this thing is just to the east of Winchester as it continues to move east at about 35 miles per hour. And again, this is southern Middle Tennessee's Franklin County. It is part of a system of storms that came through here overnight, was very loud.
Oh, yeah.
Dumped a lot of heavy rain, but has picked up in intensity since then, prompting this tornado warning for Franklin County. Again, it is moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. Looks like this thing might be Chattanooga's problem here in here within the hour. So the good news is for folks here in Middle Tennessee, right around Nashville, this thing is way south of us. The bad news is for folks in Southeast Tennessee, if this thing stays together, it could make for a very dangerous morning. In fact, it already is there for folks in Franklin County.
Well, I also heard you say, too, that they say winds were clocked at around 78 miles an hour.
Yeah, according to radar, according to their radar, they're picking up wind speeds of 78 miles per hour with this thing.
Unbelievable. Well, I hope they stay safe and keep an eye to the sky and keep it right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And as always, Ken, thank you for everything.
You bet your brother Johnny B.
You the man. You the man. But, we've also got a flood advisory for Murray County, Tennessee, and also in Williamson, which I can understand. Man, this morning trying to get ready to come into work, lost my power a couple of times from some lightning strikes. One that struck right by the window I was at, putting my clothes on. And that was kind of an interesting I think I jumped about 10 feet because it struck nearby, and I mean, the thunder, of course, was instantaneous. So.
Oh, I bet. And then probably standing there going, wait, I don't remember turning that light on there.
That's about the way it went. We're glad to have you on board with Nashville's Morning News. And, we're looking for more showers today and possibly a thunderstorm, but I don't think we're going to see anything severe, hopefully. So we'll keep you abreast of the weather and everything else. Plus, you can get involved with us with the Members Nutrition Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Hey, you can also watch us on Super Talk TV. Mason, how do they do that?
Go to our website is one of the main places, but we're also streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, and on the WTN website.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you can see how pretty Mason is.
Yeah.
My wife said you remind her of Wolfgang Van Halen.
I will take that extremely
She meant
nice
that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
Said you're skinnier than he is, but she said he looks a lot like Wolfgang Van Halen.
Well, I appreciate it.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, what's really interesting to me this morning is the House Oversight Committee Chair, James Comer. He's the Republican out of Kentucky. He has launched a government-wide probe into the Chinese Communist Party's ongoing attempt to target, influence, and infiltrate every sector and community in the United States. Man, it's about time. The probe comes in the wake of a new book that's out. This thing's called Blood Money, Why the Powerful Turn a Blind Eye While China Kills Americans. Blood Money, by the way, landed at number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list 1 week after its release. Among several bombshells, Blood Money reveals how the Biden family bagged $5 million from the business partner of the quote-unquote white wolf, the head of a gang involved in the drug trade. It also exposed how China is involved in the fentanyl crisis throughout North America. That's a big duh. We've had so much fentanyl enter the United States, and we've had so many Americans So many promising Americans die from fentanyl overdoses. It also exposes how China is it's also uncovering how China uses TikTok as a modern-day Trojan horse to push propaganda into the United States. And in fact, the book's author, Peter Schweitzer, said, "I'm thrilled that Chairman Comer is launching a major investigation in this, as we all are." He said, "I look forward to helping the committee in their efforts." Comer's probe is going to demand federal agencies provide information on how the United States is combating the China's warfare that influences several significant sectors like education, agriculture, critical infrastructure, research, energy, business, space, and technology sectors. Without firing a single bullet, the Chinese Communist Party is waging war against the U.S. by targeting, influencing, and infiltrating every economic sector and community in America. And that's according to James Comer in his statement. He said, "We know that this coordinated influence and infiltration campaign by the Chinese threatens U.S. military readiness, the technology sector, financial markets, agriculture industry, education systems, and intellectual properties. The lives and securities of all Americans are affected." And that is the truth. That is the truth. Can you see this? We have been in bed with the Chinese for way too long. And it did all start pretty much with a Republican president, in my eyes, which is Richard Nixon. I think Nixon had good intentions, but too much. It's become too lucrative for a lot of shady politicians like the Biden crime family. And they're not alone. There are a lot of politicians that have been taking money from the Chinese government, because the Chinese government knows that's the way they can get in. And of course, when they send balloon over the United States, we just let it fly over because it's a weather balloon, don't you know? Oh, the Oversight Committee has a responsibility to ensure the federal government is taking every action necessary to protect Americans from the CCP's ongoing political warfare, Comer added. He said actions taken by the committee are just the beginning. He said, "I look forward to full cooperation from agencies as we work to thwart China's efforts to influence and infiltrate the United States of America." And in fact, former President Donald J. Trump expressed interest in Blood Money's revelations. And in fact, I'll tell you what he put out on Truth Social. It's quite interesting. We'll look into that next. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads from the WTN Traffic Center with Jack Womack. Thank you much, Jack. Looks like today could be showers, of course, all day long, possibly a thunderstorm. They're not saying anything's going to be severe, even though we do have a tornado warning for Franklin County that is expiring now as we speak. But be on the lookout for, just keep an eye on the sky and keep it right here on Super Talk. Of course, the weekend, mostly sunny on Saturday, a high of 69. Mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 62. On Monday, when Dan Mandis returns to this chair, winter returns with a high of only 47, a low of 28. So you're going to have to cover up everything that's blooming right now. Currently 60 degrees with rain on Nashville's Music Road. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Former President Donald J. Trump, of course, hit his Truth Social account, and he posted a Breitbart news story on Schweitzer's report about the Biden crime family bagging $5 million from the business partner of the quote-unquote white wolf. And he puts, while Joe Biden was vice president, the Bidens developed a business partnership with a Chinese tycoon. And I can't pronounce the gentleman's name. I'm sorry. We'll just call him White Wolf. No wonder they use White Wolf. The chairman of the CEPC China Energy Company, which had strong ties to the Chinese Communist Party. And throughout this gentleman's relationship with the Bidens, he showered some members of the Biden family with money. Schweitzer reported on that. Hunter Biden received a 3-carat diamond worth $80,000. And in July of 2017, Yee's company gave the Bidens a $5 million interest-free forgivable loan. Hunter also spoke to the White Wolf on a regular basis, and also the White Wolf helped Hunter on a number of his personal issues, including unspecified, quote-unquote, sensitive things. I wonder what those sensitive things are. Hunter explained in emails. Joe Biden also attended a meeting with Hunter, additional business partners, and the White Wolf. Hunter's business partner, Rob Walker, told the U.S. House of Representatives and their investigators in 2023, I don't remember the exact time, but I remember being in Washington, D.C., and the former vice president stopped by. We were having lunch. The White Wolf also enjoyed a partnership with the former leader of a Chinese triad called the United Bamboo Gang. Well, they sound lovely. Schweitzer detailed all of this in blood money. White Wolf's partner's name was Zhang Anlei, or as he is commonly known as the White Wolf. Oh, okay. So there we go. So the Biden family have taken a lot of money from the Chinese. This is nothing that we did not know already. But Hunter Biden getting all kinds of free gifts, and Joe Biden constantly saying under oath, anytime he's investigated, I didn't know anything about Hunter's business dealings. Well, apparently he did. And we all know that. The Biden crime family is very dirty, and more is going to come out. And I'm glad this is being pursued. And I am also thrilled that Chairman Comer is launching this investigation. It's going to be fun to watch. And, of course, you can keep it right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, because more and more is going to come out about this. And it's going to be very interesting to watch. Coming up at 5:35, we've got the Gang of Three Amigos. I don't know if any of you heard the interview with Chris Hand yesterday that he had with Tim Burchett. But it is phenomenal. But there was one part of the interview that I really liked, is when he talked to Joe Biden, when they were talking, whispering in each other's ears. Basically.
When he was coming down the State of the Union.
Exactly.
Getting ready to do the speech.
Yeah, he was talking to not only Burchett, but also Andy Ogles as well. but it's quite interesting. I'm telling you what, Tim Burchett, that's the kind of gentleman we need in Washington, because, folks, he's not a politician. He's a statesman. That's what Tim Burchett is. And I was also knocked out when Chris was trying to do the right thing and call him by his title. And I love what Tim said, because I'm doing the same thing. He wants to be called Tim. And I dug that. That's a statesman. And he also doesn't want to be a kingmaker. And he also doesn't want to hobnob with all of the elites. He just wants to do the job that he was given, and he wants to work for the state he represents. That's a statesman. That's not a politician. And we need more of those people in Washington, D.C. And maybe one day we'll get lucky and get a statesman, somebody that's just there for the good of the people, in the presidential chair. That would be phenomenal. It's 5:21, coming up with the news at 5:30 with Ken Weaver. What's coming up, Ken?
Well, right now, good news in Franklin County. That tornado warning has expired, so now no tornado warnings in Tennessee. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning there, where the tornado warning was issued for Franklin County. But again, no tornado warnings in effect right now. And we also have to tell you, this is part of the same storm system blamed for death and destruction elsewhere. We're talking about tornadoes reported from Texas to Ohio. You got to hear how some of that has gone down. Big shootout on the interstate in Antioch last night. And day 7 in the search for Riley Strain. This and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken. 521, the Gang of Three Amigos comes up at 5:35. Like I said, we'll play that little cut from Tim Burchett. And then we'll also, I hear the Rolling Stones have added more dates to their Hackney Diamonds tour. Will they be coming to Nashville? We'll let you know at 5:35, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 5:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, no tornado warnings in Tennessee. In fact, right now, the only severe weather is a severe thunderstorm warning there for Franklin County, where the tornado warning expired 15 minutes ago. Just a severe thunderstorm warning now. They're along the Tennessee-Alabama border, well to the southeast of Nashville, moving off to the east. Now, the bad news is we have 6 confirmed fatalities from Texas to Ohio with this system. Blame for a lot of tornadoes touching down overnight. And listen to this from a social media user documenting a funnel cloud tearing up a mobile home park in Freiburg, Ohio. That tornado reported to be a half-mile wide. And again, right now, authorities confirming 6 fatalities now in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky from this system. Here in Nashville, the search is on for suspects after a shootout on the interstate near Haywood Lane last night. One person was injured critically, we're told. I-24 traffic was tied up for hours. And it is day 7 in the search for Riley Strain, the Missouri college student who vanished during a night on Lower Broad with his fraternity. Metro Police say they're trying to pinpoint his location through call logs, text messages, and pings from his phone and his watch before they lost power.
Right now, we have requested some of that information. We've done emergency pings, and we're just trying to get that information from them.
Strain's last known location was somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. He was last seen again last Friday after being asked to leave Luke Bryan's Broadway bar around 10 o'clock. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
that festive music means it's time for the Gang of Three Amigos on Nashville's Morning News with a vacationing Dan Mandis still out on his big cruise. Johnny B is in his place. We also have Mason Fleming. Good morning, Mason.
Good morning, Johnny. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Any better, I'd have to take medicine. And in the newsroom, my brother from another mother, Ken Weaver. Good morning, brother Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
Good to have you guys. And I'm got to thank you guys for making this a fun week. I appreciate it.
I've had a good time this week.
How much you going to pay us, brother Johnny B?
Yeah, I'm ready for my check.
Oh, wait a minute. I already got my check.
Yeah, you all got your check today.
It's some of that Inferno
jerky,
Bozeman
baby.
Farm jerky,
Yes,
baby.
sir. I brought a parcel, and I heard that Chris Hand will be bringing his daughter Kennedy in today.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
Father-daughter day.
he claimed that she was not going to get paid, that she was going to be treated like an intern. Yes. And so little does she know, unless she's listening right now, she's going to get paid today with the little Bozeman Farm jerky, her own bag. Now, Chris has some for him and the family, but Kennedy's going to get her own bag.
All
for
right.
her coming in today
Nice.
and helping us out at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Now, speaking of Chris Hand, I was listening on my way home. I have never gotten jealous over anyone on the air. I mean, when I listen to people, I don't sit there and go, "Oh man, I wish I'd have." But yesterday, I got jealous because one of my favorite people in politics came on Chris's show, and that is Tim Burchett. And it was a great interview, and he had a lot of, like when he said, when you talk to Biden now, the man's gone. I mean, nobody has said that. I mean, they kind of hint at it, but he said the man just isn't there anymore. And he said somebody else is running the country, and we all know that. But he also had a moment that kind of stuck with me, and of course I'll need sound here for this. But Chris was asking him because as Biden was getting ready for his big State of the Union address, which fell like a thud, we'll have that story later. But apparently they began to whisper in each other's ear, and it was not just Tim, but it was also our own representative, Andy Ogles. But when he spoke to Tim, this is what Tim said they talked about.
I was actually talking to him about Corvettes and chocolate chip ice cream. He had, and then I told him how much. I told him about my brother had a '72 Corvette with a 350, and how I peeled out in Brunswick Billiards parking lot on a date one night. And then I told him that my wife really liked peppermint chocolate chip ice cream and Corvettes. And then he said, "Can I get her number?" And then I thought, "No way, creepy old man. I'm not giving you her dadgum number."
I'd have said the same thing.
That's pretty good comeback, though.
Yeah.
I'll hand it to Biden on that.
You got her number? I wonder if he made car sounds.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true.
Jack.
That's right, Jack. That's what the Corvette sounds like. But yeah, it was neat listening to him yesterday.
Yeah, that was a really cool interview. He called in. It caught me off guard because I saw his name and I was like, Chris didn't tell me we had an interview today, but he just said he was driving through Nashville and was listening to Chris and some of our callers that were talking, and he was like, I have an opinion I'd like to talk about with Chris, and I was like, we will gladly have you on. So that was a really cool interview to have him kind of pop in because it felt very, very organic. It didn't feel like it was staged or anything like that.
No
talking points were set beforehand. It was two guys having a conversation over the air, and it was nice.
It was nice, and I enjoyed listening to it. It was good radio, and I'm telling you, if you don't listen to Super Talk 99.7 WTN all day long, you miss out. And that's why you must listen, because like yesterday, Chris had Mr. Burchett call in. And then also yesterday, we finally got the governor on with Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you never know what you're going to hear, and it's important stuff you got to hear. But that was very cool yesterday. But you got to be careful because you never know who's listening. I'll relate a story to you. I've told this story before. If you heard it before, just bear with me. But it was while I was with the Phil Valentine show, and it was when Honky Tonk But Donkey Donk was a big, big hit. Now, I like the song. But as music radio is this day, when a song is a hit, you hear it ad nauseum. And at the time, I was married to a woman that had my ex-wife had 3 daughters, and one of the girls liked to listen to country radio. And every morning on the way to taking them to school, because that's what I did, I would hear honky tonk badonky donk. It had to be 2 or 3 times because every country station she hit was playing it because it was a huge hit. And so one day on the air, I go, I'll be doing all right if I can just go one day without hearing honky tonk badonky donk. And then about 2 calls later, how can I have your name? This is Trace. I went, I said, wouldn't be Trace Atkins, would it? The only Trace in this truck. And I thought, I'm going to get my butt beat.
Oh, no.
But he was very good-natured about it. He said, and he said it on the air, he said, you may be tired of it, but it's going to put my girls through college.
Yep.
Good point. But it was a great song. And now I listen to it myself every now and then in my little music room. Speaking of music, this is where MSN drives me crazy. I don't know about you guys. But they always put out these stories, and they're lead stories. And I saw one today that said the Rolling Stones add dates to their Hackney Diamonds tour. If they have, I can't tell because it looks like it's the same dates. And I'm thinking, they're going to come to Nashville. No, they're not.
Same old new list that I got out all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the closest they're coming is going to be Atlanta, Georgia. That'll be in June 7th. That'll be on June 7th.
Yeah, that's not too bad of a drive. I've made that drive a couple times.
I have too. The only bad part of the drive is getting into Atlanta.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually being there is the rough part.
I was getting ready to say the only bad part of it is it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
Exactly. It takes about 3 hours to get to Atlanta, and then
three and a half on a good day.
Yeah, well, to get to there.
Yeah.
And then once you get to Atlanta, then it takes you about 4 hours just to get through town.
Yeah.
And I don't care what part of the city you try to go through, it's a mess.
Yeah. It's like I was just trying to find the parking lot for the hotel. And I sat in traffic for 5 more hours.
Well, if you can't make that one, and I don't know if this concert's sold out or not, but did you guys know that Extreme is playing tomorrow night in Nashville?
I did not.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I mean, you may know them from now this hit More Than Words, and you remember the song. I wish I could play it, but we'd have to pay a bunch of money, and we can't do that. It's not in the budget. That's the Office of No. But anyway, they are going to be in town tomorrow night with A Living Color, and that should be a good show. It's at the Ryman Auditorium. So I imagine if it isn't sold out, it's getting close. But they have a big Eddie Van Halen connection. Number one, because the band really were influenced by Eddie. Also, Gary Cherone, the lead singer, was with Van Halen during the Van Halen 3, which a lot of Van Halen fans didn't care for. I thought the album was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it. It was different for them, but I thought it was a good album, and I thought Gary Cherone did a decent job, and especially when I saw them live, because he covered a lot of their catalog that Sammy wouldn't touch, Sammy Hagar. But they were telling a story to the Tennessean and said that, is it Nuno Betancourt? He's the guitar player. And he said the two of them, Eddie Van Halen and Betancourt, met many times. He said Eddie Van Halen was always warm and welcoming to him, right to the last time they saw each other. And the last time they saw each other, they were recording the album they have out now. And he said, I was getting kind of bombarded with getting interrupted by Gary Cherone saying, you've got to come outside for a second. And finally he did, and who's waiting outside but Eddie Van Halen? He's right outside his house on the day he was recording this solo that he feels actually catapulted the album for them just a little bit in the guitar space. But Eddie wanted to hear what they were working on, and Betancourt felt like the work was too unfinished to play for Van Halen. So he asked him if he could come back in a few weeks, and he would play him what he had done solo-wise. And Eddie Van Halen said he would. Unfortunately, they had no idea how sick Van Halen was, and of course, he never did get to come back. So he said, but I did get the feeling that Eddie was looking down saying, good job, kid. You did good. So that ought to be a good show, Extreme with Living Color tomorrow night. So if you get a chance, you may want to check that out.
That'll be cool.
That'll be very cool.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, especially the government, they're after us to get electric vehicles. How about I can sense the excitement.
Yeah.
I'm so energized to talk about battery-powered vehicles.
Electric vehicles. We had one gentleman here that I think he was a salesman. I don't think he drives it anymore. Or maybe he doesn't work here anymore. I never know. But I would always see it plugged in. Like it was really weird because it looked like it went through the...
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really... Because when I would leave, when it was my time to go, which was around noon, I would see...
See a snaking cord through the parking lot leading to a car.
And it was very interesting because it was around that time we were having trouble with a lot of our computers and everything. I always wondered if that was sucking all of the energy. But they're saying, according to a new report, that the swelling appetite for more electricity, not only by electric cars, but also by battery and solar factories and other aspects of this so-called clean energy transition, is jeopardizing the country's plan to fight climate change. It's causing major problems. In fact, to meet the spiking demand, they say utilities in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia are proposing to build dozens of power plants over the next 15 years that will burn natural gas. And in my home state of Kansas, where I was born, one utility has postponed the retirement of a coal plant to help power a giant electric car battery factory. So it's not solving the problem at all.
No.
It's only making it worse, which we told you was going to be the case.
At least they're doing it in a safe way.
It's making somebody money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just follow the money.
Let's put all the giant lithium batteries in one place instead of spreading them out. And that's, oh my gosh.
Well, see, that's one reason when this plant was being built here was around Memphis.
Yeah.
And everybody was so excited about it, and there was so much hoopla about it. I said, I wouldn't be getting that excited about it because this technology isn't anywhere near being ready for use.
I mean, it's where it was, even 10 years ago is ridiculous where we are with electric vehicles, but it's not the eco-friendly vehicle that everybody assumes that it's supposed to be.
Well, no.
Because everything else that takes to create those vehicles is putting out just as much as the regular vehicles output, if not more.
Well, and not to mention when the batteries go bad, the mercury from it's going to be in landfill.
Awful for the environment.
It is. It's absolutely horrible. Plus, electric cars, that technology is just not where it ought to be. And this administration has just tried to fast lane it when it's not even ready. Now, I would love clean energy, but this isn't the way to go about it, and especially to mandate that people get electric vehicles because nobody wants them. Nobody.
I was like, if they buy it for me, that's when I'll drive it. But
Yeah,
I
there
am
you
not
go.
spending the money to transition over to an electric vehicle at the moment.
Well, even to get a power station to charge it at your home is expensive. Very expensive. And a story I haven't really been following, but it really is a bothersome story, is this Missouri college student, Riley Strain. I mean, this dude he's been missing for what, a weekend?
Yep, today's day 7.
Wow.
Last known, the last location that they know of was between the Woodland Street Bridge and Robertson Parkway. And that's it. They have no idea where he could be. Now, this is what's kind of interesting about this story is, everybody keeps saying, well, just get his call logs, just check his social media, his iPhone and his watch. Well, they are, but there are laws in place that prevent the quick release of that information.
Wow.
A police department can't just simply say, hey, give me that information.
Right.
Because that's what the police department said yesterday during their update. They're waiting for that data.
Yeah,
that they're looking for from his phone and his watch.
Yeah, Apple security is great until you need to locate somebody with it's
a catch-22.
Yeah.
Well,
in this case, you want it fast.
Well, and two, his frat brothers, I mean, they didn't really
wasn't reported for 16 hours.
That's bizarre to me. Because if he said I'm going back to the hotel,
well, I mean, they probably didn't think it just probably didn't dawn on them.
No, and plus if they were, which it sounded like they were drinking
They
heavily.
were probably asleep for most of that 16 hours.
Yeah.
Probably, because it sounded like they were doing a pretty big bender.
Yeah.
And celebrating. And kids think that the world's a playground, and it's not. It can be a danger zone, and this kind of thing can happen. I hope he's found soon, but I don't have a good feeling about it when it's this long. It's 5:53. Ken, what's coming up in the news at 6?
Well, half a dozen dead after a severe weather outbreak. A shootout shut down the interstate in Antioch. And have you been through the drive-thru for breakfast at one particular fast food chain this morning? I'll tell you what's going on in Europe with it at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. Biden doesn't get a State of the Union address bump. And also, the Democrats are worried about interference in elections, yet one Democrat wants to interfere in an election. Again, we'll have those stories coming up after 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to be a wet rest of your day. Looks like the severe weather threat has cleared out of Tennessee for the time being. That's good news. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Yeah, we've got 6 confirmed fatalities now blamed on severe storms, spawning multiple reports of tornadoes from Texas to Ohio. Here's Rhiannon Alley.
Sound like a freight train coming through our front room.
In central Ohio, authorities responded to a mass casualty event after a half-mile wide tornado hit the village of Lakeview, destroying a mobile home community and buildings downtown.
Our laundromat is gone. It's very bad. It's pure devastation. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life.
In Indiana, authorities said they were working to confirm reports of fatalities from a likely tornado that hit the city of Winchester.
It is that time of year. Here in Nashville, Metro Police investigating after a shootout on I-24 near Haywood Lane last night. Happened just before 10 o'clock. One person was taken to the hospital with critical injuries. Today marks 7 days since the disappearance of Missouri college student Riley Strain, and police say they're trying to pinpoint his location by his phone and watch.
Some of the data we're still waiting on. There's a legal process when you're getting some of this information, and so sometimes it's multiple steps, and a lot of it depends on the company that you're trying to get that information, whether it's social media or a cell phone company.
Right now, Strain's last known location was somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. He was last seen on March 8th. After being asked to leave Luke Bryan's Broadway barn. And over at the state capitol, a bill is advancing requiring local law enforcement in Tennessee to communicate with federal immigration authorities when they come across illegal immigrants. There are other efforts to expand the law against transporting illegal immigrants in Tennessee. Right now, it's just for people who do it for money. This new effort makes it a misdemeanor for any reason. Have you been through the drive-thru at McDonald's this morning? We're monitoring reports out of Europe, specifically from the BBC, saying customers in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, and Austria are unable to order food. In Japan, the fast food chain is blaming what it says is a system failure there in McDonald's. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Consumers are still spending, but not as much as expected. Retail sales rose 0.6% from January to February. Many economists believe Americans are running out of the money they saved during the pandemic. That and other less than stellar news about the economy sent stocks lower Thursday. The Dow Jones lost 137 points to close back below 39,000. The S&P and NASDAQ composite each slipped 0.3% on the day. Shares in Adobe slumped by as much as 11% in extended trading after the design software maker issued strong fiscal first quarter results, but it came up short on quarterly revenue guidance. Adobe reported adjusted earnings per share of $4.48. Catching a ride in Minneapolis might get more difficult. The city council there has approved a $1.40 per mile minimum wage for rideshare drivers operating within the city. Uber and Lyft have threatened to suspend service in Minneapolis as a result.
All right, let's check futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. Right now, Dow futures up 47, NASDAQ up 46, S&P is up 12. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Happy Friday morning to you. We made it through the week. It's 6:09 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Nashville's morning news. Dan Mandis, of course, is on the last day of, well, I don't know if it's the last day, the last working day of his big cruise. He will return on Monday morning. We're looking forward to that. But in the meantime, you've got yours truly, Johnny B., along with Ken Weaver, Mason Fleming in as well. And you can get in touch with us. You can participate. The Members Nutrition Super Text line, 615-737-9986. You can also catch us on Super Talk TV. Ladies and gentlemen, Mason Fleming tells you how.
We are streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and on the WTN app. So if you guys go to download our app, you can watch us anywhere on your phone that you can carry us.
There's no escape.
No escape.
That's right. We're everywhere. That's right, man. We're looking over your shoulder. Also, I've got some unfinished business I got to take care of. A lot of you, which I appreciate you guys getting in touch with me, but you enjoyed the interview with Deborah Evans-Price yesterday. She writes for Billboard, writes for a lot of publications, talks to a lot of artists and famous folks. But she put out her own book. It's called Country Faith. It's inspired stories from the leading country stars. What it is their personal stories of faith and what brought them to it, and their favorite Bible verses as well. It's a very uplifting book. Very good, but a lot of you wanted to know where you can get it. You can get it wherever good books are sold, or if you want to, you can order it online. It's Dayspring, all one word, lowercase, dayspring.com. Go to that website, ask for Country Faith, and you'll get a copy of it. It's a very uplifting book, and I appreciated her coming in yesterday and her stories of not only the country artists, but also the various other stars she's talked to was very entertaining and uplifting in a lot of ways, and we appreciate it. Well, somebody that's not uplifting in my view, and we got sound on it, Chucky Schumer. Yes, yesterday Chucky called for Israel to oust Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And this is what he said. Part of what he said.
The fourth major obstacle to peace is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has all too frequently bowed to the demands of extremists like Ministers Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and the settlers in the West Bank. I have known Prime Minister Netanyahu for a very long time. While we have vehemently disagreed on many occasions, I will always respect his extraordinary bravery for Israel on the battlefield as a younger man.
I feel a big butt.
I believe in his heart he has his highest priority is the security of Israel.
Here it comes.
However, I also believe Prime Minister Netanyahu has lost his way by allowing his political survival to take the precedence over the best interests of Israel. As a lifelong supporter of Israel, it has become clear to me the Netanyahu coalition no longer fits the needs of Israel after October 7th. The world has changed radically since then, and the Israeli people are being stifled right now by a governing vision that is stuck in the past.
Okay. Well, for a party that is really concerned about election interference, it feels like they are constantly interfering in Israel's elections. Do we not remember how President Obama, during his administration, when Netanyahu was running, Obama put ads on Israeli TV against Benjamin Netanyahu? That's interference to me. And I'm not alone in feeling that way. A lot of people came out yesterday against what Chuck Schumer said. In fact, Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas, said Chuck Schumer's demand for new Israeli elections is inappropriate. It's offensive. Israel is a close ally in a healthy, vibrant democracy. The last thing Israel needs is the foreign election interference that Democrats so often decry here. And that's the truth. They do. They constantly say that we have too much interference, election interference from abroad, yet they practice it themselves. Cotton also said that calling for the ouster of an Israeli leader is a bad look for the Democrats, and it is. And I'd like to ask all of these Democrats that seem to be going anti-Netanyahu right now and anti-Israel for a lot of them. Do you not remember what happened? What started this between Israel and Hamas? It was an attack on their people. It was brutal. These people were just living their lives, and innocent people were slaughtered in front of family members, old people, babies. And what's Hamas doing? They're hiding in hospitals and in other areas. They're using people as human shields, innocents. And yet the Democrat Party seems to be backing them and not Israel. I'm telling you, the world is upside down. Cotton continues, he said, besides the main elections that worry Chuck Schumer aren't Israel's, but our elections, because the rampant anti-Semitism that the Democrat Party has allowed to fester in its ranks is massively unpopular with the pro-Israel American public. That's very true. Said Chuck Schumer should remove the log in his own party's eye before he whines about the speck in Israel's eye. Good words from Tom Cotton, but he's not alone. More have spoken out, and I'll pass those along to you next. It's 6:15, time to check the roads from the WTN Traffic Center. Thank you, Jack. Boy, we did get a lot of active weather through here. Thank goodness we really didn't get anything severe here in the Middle Tennessee area. Look for showers, possibly a thunderstorm today. The high today will be around 67, mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 69. Your Sunday will be mostly cloudy with a high of 62. Better enjoy these temperatures while you got them, because Monday, when Dan Mandis returns from his big cruise, you'll have a high only around 47. Look for a low of 28, and anything that's blooming right now, you may want to cover up on that night. So right now we're looking at 63 degrees with rain on Nashville's Music Row. On a side note, saw a picture of Riker, of what Dan calls Little Riker, which I don't think he can call him that anymore. But I saw a picture of him on the boat, and a very good photograph. I don't know who took it, probably Amy. But like I said, we'll get to hear all about Dan Mandis' big cruise Monday when he returns on Nashville's Morning News. And we get to some serious stuff right here. Of course, we were talking about, well, basically what it is, it's election interference from our own Democrat Party, and Chucky Schumer coming out against Benjamin Netanyahu today. I can understand why Netanyahu would not want any help from us at all. They can take care of the problem themselves. And they should. They were the ones attacked. And brutally, I might add. But he got another stinging response, not only from Mr. Cotton, but also the Republican Jewish coalition leader, Matt Brooks, yesterday declared that Chucky Schumer had crossed a red line. He said, as Israel continues to righteously fight to defend itself from barbaric terrorists, the most powerful Democrat in Congress knifed the Jewish state in the back. That's what their statement said, and demanded that Israel's democratically elected government be evicted from power and replaced by one more to Chucky Schumer's liking. And they said Chucky Schumer has, well, they didn't say Chucky, I did. He crossed a real red line. It is outrageous. It's unacceptable to meddle in Israel's domestic policies by demanding that a Democrat ally hold elections on our timetable, particularly when the Jewish state is fighting for its very survival. And that's exactly what's going on. They're fighting for their survival. It also noted that Schumer has frequently described himself as the so-called Shomer, or guardian of the Jewish people. But they say that his remarks on Thursday were a shanda, a disgrace. I would tend to agree with them. The denouncement ended with a clarion call to take back the White House and the U.S. Senate from this radical Democrat leadership, according to the leaders of the waging political warfare on our key ally, Israel, and rewarding terrorists. And I can't believe people are forgetting what happened to Israel. It's much like what happened here on September 11th when our own people were attacked. Israel has every right to do what they're doing. And Hamas is a terrorist organization. And everybody seems to forget. In fact, what I wish, because a lot of members of Congress, a lot of people in the Senate got to see video of what happened in Israel. It's barbaric and it's hard to watch, but I almost think Americans should be forced to watch it or have the opportunity. That'd be a better way to put it. To have the opportunity to watch it themselves. It wouldn't be pretty. It'd be hard to watch. But I think it would make more sense to Americans why Israel is waging this war like they are. They've had it. I've had it with terrorists. We have our own terrorism in our own country with MS-13, with Antifa, with other groups that cause violence. And I'm sick of it, frankly. And I think most people are. Like Senator Tom Cotton said, Chuck Schumer's demand for a new Israeli election is inappropriate, it's offensive, and it's also election interference in another country. And like I said, we had President Barack Obama, actually put TV ads in Israel to try to out or make sure that Benjamin Netanyahu wouldn't win. That's election tampering. But yet the Democrats scream and cry about that all the time. And yet they're just as guilty about the same situation. And somebody needs to call them on it, and that's why I'm so glad to see Senator Tom Cotton doing so. It's 6:21, 6:30. We've got news coming up with Ken Weaver. What's happening at that time, Ken?
Well, we have 6 fatalities confirmed as a result of last night's severe weather outbreak. We also have a consumer alert this morning for something you might have in your kitchen. You'll want to wait for that coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, I got to know, but I'll have to listen to the news at 6:30 with Ken Weaver, like you. It's 6:22 coming up. Biden didn't get a bump from his State of the Union address. No surprise there. And believe it or not, a lot of Biden voters, they've got buyer's remorse. We'll have story and sound on that, too, as well, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:30 on the dot this Friday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. The severe weather threat is gone, but it's going to be a wet commute. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Unfortunately, 6 fatalities confirmed as a result of yesterday and last night's severe weather outbreak, believed to have spawned tornadoes from Texas to Ohio. Amber Fagan is with the Indian Lake Area Chamber of Commerce in Ohio.
Our laundromat is gone. The old plastics building is just completely demolished.
Tornado there reported to be half a mile wide. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Bill Wagner says he took cover when he heard a twister coming.
I just heard that train sound they talk about, and then I started running for the kitchen. It got loud, and I just ducked down on the floor, and then all the insulation hit me.
Damage in the towns of Hanover and Brooksburg, Indiana. Fatalities confirmed in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Right now in Nashville, it is day 7 in the search for a missing Missouri college student, Riley Strain. Metro Police say they're waiting for the release of data from Strain's phone and watch.
Right now, we have requested some of that information. We've done emergency pings, and we're just trying to get that information from them.
Andrea Fujii with more.
22-year-old Riley Strain was last seen by friends last Friday at Luke's 32 Bridge, a bar owned by country singer Luke Bryan. Security video from around 10 p.m. shows Strain stumbling down the street and falling. He got back up and continued walking, visibly unsteady. Strain was on a trip with his University of Missouri fraternity brothers.
Why didn't somebody help?
His family, desperate for answers.
Strain's last known location somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. A consumer alert this morning for something that might cause a fire and burn up your kitchen.
Best Buy, in cooperation with the Consumer Product Safety Commission, issuing a recall of Insignia air fryers and air fryer ovens over concerns that they can overheat, causing the handles to melt off or break, posing a fire and burn risk. Additionally, they say they can overheat to the point where the glass on the door can shatter, also posing an injury risk. Best Buy says you can check which models are affected on the CPSC's website.
That is Mark Remillard and the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, welcome back in. It is Nashville's Morning News at 6:37. Good morning. You made it to Friday. Let's have some fun this weekend. Forget about all this stuff. Have some fun with your family, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, whoever makes you happy. You got Ken Weaver and Mason Fleming along with Johnny B sitting in for Dan Mandis, who is cruising right now. He's on his final workday of the cruise, and we'll hear all about it Monday morning when he returns. And he'll be returning to some pretty cold weather. We'll have more on that coming up in just mere moments. You can get in touch with us at 615-737-9986. That's the Members Nutrition Super Text line. And you can also watch us on Super Talk TV. Mason tells you how you can get to there.
We're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Also on our WTN app. You can log that on your phone and watch us anywhere.
Thank you, my brother. Good to have
course.
you aboard. And by the way, are you looking forward to the cicadas that are coming back this year?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, man. It's getting ready to happen. It's pretty wild when this happens. I've seen it happen before. But this is going to be a big phenomenon because this has not been witnessed since 1803.
I feel like every time a big group of cicadas comes through here, it's been 100 years since the last one.
Well, this one is since 1803. This is when Thomas Jefferson was president.
Oh, wow.
And what's happening is this is a double brood. It's not just one. It's two types of cicadas. One is a 13-year and the other one a 17-year cicada emergence. Yeah. So they're going to be everywhere. The next time this is going to happen will be 2245. I'll be long gone by then.
Going to have a lot of fat hornets out there this summer.
Yeah.
Hornets like eating those things.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I love watching them attack them. It's very interesting.
Also, make sure to carry around my extra large fly swatter.
Yeah, you better look out with a fly swatter and a hornet, dude. They're fast.
You know, they're very fast.
Their memory apparently is crazy good, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you miss them, they're coming back for sure.
Oh, yeah. I got nailed one time by hornets when I did know there was a nest in a house I had. And I was running down the stairs trying to make it to the car. One got me in the back.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, it hurt. It was bad.
Yeah. I was walking at Barfield Park one time there in Murfreesboro, and this is no lie. I watched a hornet and a red wasp fight over one of these cicadas.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
It was incredible.
It is fun to watch nature, though, man. The other day, it was very interesting because we feed a lot of the wildlife at our house. And we had, of course, turkey that come up constantly.
Yeah.
And some of them are pregnant, you know. But anyway, they were eating all of a sudden, flying into this tree that I would love to get rid of because it's a Bradford pear, and I hate Bradford pear.
Allergies.
Well, that, and they're just useless trees.
Yeah.
But a hawk flew into the tree. You could not, the birds all disappeared.
Yeah.
Except for the turkey. They weren't too bothered. But that dude was, I mean, I got off binoculars. I love looking at a hawk.
Yeah.
Man, they are intense.
Yeah. A turkey might be able to fend off a hawk.
Might be able to.
Yeah, I guess they can, can't they?
I guess. I really don't know.
You get a big Tom.
Yeah.
They can probably take care of a hawk.
Oh, yeah. It was very funny, too, because one time when the turkey were at the feeder, there was a squirrel that was trying to get to the feeder as well. He gave up.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
Yeah, he kept trying to come down, and then he would go back up, like, and then finally I saw him race across the field, and he was like, no, not today.
He was screaming, jive, turkey.
So we're getting ready for the cicadas, and I guess they'll be coming out here very soon. They'll start in spring, and they'll be everywhere. In fact, I had a cat one time that was trapped by cicadas and was meowing, like, for me to come get him. Please, man, come get me. They've got me surrounded.
Help me. Help me.
Help me now. Well, you know who else is saying help me? Voters. That's right. Our own cicada, President Joe Biden, his State of the Union address wasn't quite well received by most Americans. This, according to some polls, in fact, 4 of them, that was reported by the Federalist, they said 59% of registered voters told Harris X Forbes pollsters that Biden's speech served to divide the country further, not unify it, compared to 41% who said the opposite. In fact, we told you that on here. There was no real bump, because usually on a State of the Union address, you get a good bump for the president, especially if he makes it, makes it a unifying speech. This was not a unifying speech. Otherwise, his address didn't do much to boost the numbers in other polls, including YouGov, Yahoo, Rasmussen, 538, and Morning Consult. In the 538 polling averages, Biden's approval dropped slightly from 38.1% on March 7th to 38% now. And the Economist YouGov poll showed almost no change on the approval-disapproval ratio, and a 42% to 55% ratio on March 10th through 12th. A Yahoo News and YouGov survey conducted in the days after Biden's speech showed that former President Donald Trump and Biden statistically are tied in a head-to-head matchup. They remain tied today, according to that poll. Before his speech, 40% of Americans approved of the job Biden was doing as president. I'd like to meet these 40% and hit them on the head and say, are you okay? 56 disapproved. Now numbers are 39% and 55%, respectively. Not good numbers for the old prez. Well, a lot of Biden voters are having buyer's remorse, and a Representative Dan Muser got on Newsmax yesterday, and he had reasons why he thinks this is happening. We'll have some sound in the story for you coming up next, but right now we want to check the roads from the WTN Traffic Center. Thank you, Brother Jack Womack. It looks like the showers are going to hang around most of the day. We might even see a thunderstorm. Nothing severe. High of 67 today. Mostly sunny for your Saturday with a high of 69. Mostly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 62. And then Monday, when Dan Mandis returns, he returns to winter after having a nice cruise. I guess they went through the Bahamas and those type of areas. But he's going to have a high of 47 and a low of 28. So a lot of plants that are budding right now, you may want to cover them up that night. And right now we do have 63 degrees with some light rain on Nashville's Music Row on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Of course, the Super Talk continues all day long. It's live and local. At 9 o'clock, you'll have Chris Hand, and at 12 noon, Matt Murphy with Murphy Show. And for your ride home, it's none other than Brian Wilson, the great Brian Wilson, your Farb. And in fact, it's your Phone Your Farb Friday on Brian's show. So that'll be a lot of fun, and you don't want to miss anything that happens right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, there was another poll, an Emerson poll, that shows Trump is leading Biden 47% to 43%. And Representative Dan Muser got on Newsmax yesterday, and he said, basically, these are the reasons that Biden is having trouble.
A tremendous amount of Biden buyer's remorse happening. Whenever anybody walks into a grocery store, you know the story. They're coming out. It's a period of shock. Gas prices are going back up. In that poll, it showed as well how crime is number 2 on people's concerns, even ahead of the unmitigated disaster at our border. And that's just awful. That's all part of the left's social experiment of an ideology, making the criminals out to be the victims and basically not prosecuting. So there's a lot of problems resulting to my constituents from, and it's all cause and effect from the Biden policies. And what's worse is, in the State of the Union, which I call the state of delusion, is that their plan is to stay the course. And his recent budget, by the way, is even worse than staying the course. He's adding $1 trillion of spending. He's adding taxes. All these people, this left-wing agenda is trying to do is grow government and make the economy smaller, which weakens our nation's national security and, of course, our economy.
Exactly right. In fact, the producer price or index released yesterday showed a rise of 0.6% from January to February, up from a 0.3% rise the month before. And he also added that as these prices go up, it forces all prices to go up. And in addition, you have the situation in the Mideast where you have 12% of trade that goes through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, adds to the inflation we're already seeing. And he said, do you know that the government spending, the entitlements, are at an all-time high, even today, after the huge spending and the cuts that Republican majority have instituted? He said that is what has contributed the most. Further regulations on small businesses are weakening the economy while driving up inflation. And that's according to Muser. And I would agree. In fact, if you work like in our business in radio, you can see it. You can see it with advertisers. Advertisers are really, really watching their money right now because they are so, they're dealing with so many regulations. They're dealing with so many tax problems. And plus, and I'll get into this in the next hour, because you have Bernie Sanders now that is trying to push through a 4-day work week. And he's trying to do so by doing what Democrats do best, which is start a class war. And Bernie, as we'll play some sound for you, he's trying to say that it's all with the CEOs making so much money and the workers are not, which is true. But there's a component to that the Democrats and even Bernie Sanders, they never talk about. And once again, as I've always said, illegal immigration doesn't cause all the problems in our country, but it has its tentacles in most of them. And one of those is our workplace and the economy there. And we'll get into more of that next hour, but Bernie Sanders wants a 4-day work week and is trying to push that through. And I'm going to tell you why it won't work. It sounds great to anybody. I mean, shoot, I would love a 4-day work week. That'd be great. But I don't think it's going to solve any problems. I think it's only going to add to problems. And plus, with the overflow of illegal immigrants coming into our country, I'll explain why it's going to hurt our economy and why you're not seeing wages get any larger. Because once again, illegal immigration has a hand in that. And we'll explain that to you starting up at 7:05. But you want to keep it right here at 6:50. On Nashville's Morning News, we have news coming up with Ken Weaver at 7 o'clock. What's happening then, Ken?
Sorry about that,
That's
fellas.
quite all right. I came to you a little early. It's my fault.
It is a very busy morning. At least 6 fatalities now blamed on the severe weather outbreak. It is day 7 in the search for Riley Strain, and a big problem in the drive-thrus at some fast food outlets just in time for breakfast. We'll tell you about it at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken. Sorry I went to you a little early. That's all my fault. Blame me. When Dan comes back, have him talk to me. It's all my fault, Ken. See, he's upset with me. 6:51, Johnny B with you, sitting in for Dan Mandis on Nashville's Morning News. If you'd like to get involved with us, and we'll read some of them. I'm sorry I haven't yet. It's just been a very busy morning. You can get in touch with us at the Members Nutrition Super Text line at 615-737-9986. Also watch us on Super Talk TV on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook Live, YouTube. You know all the destinations. Just keep it right where you've got it. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Johnny B. in for Dan Mandis at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Nashville's Morning News. Bernie Sanders wants a 4-day work week. Mason, you'll love this one. This is from Super Texture 1281. Sure, a 4-day work week sounds like a great idea. Then we can spend more time at our second and third jobs. There you go. We'll have more on this, and plus, what's causing a lot of this problem with our low wages. I'll tell you more about that coming up on Nashville's Morning News, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Seven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Severe weather threats over here in Middle Tennessee, but it's still going to be a wet commute. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Looks like folks in Alabama and Mississippi may not be out of harm's way either. We've got tornado warnings right now popping up in Alabama. At least 6 fatalities blamed on the severe weather outbreak from Texas to Ohio.
Millions waking up to the aftermath of severe weather after reported tornadoes tore into the heartland. Homes and structures torn apart. People searching through the night for anyone who may still be trapped.
I heard what sounded like a train.
In Selma, up to 50% of structures have been damaged.
Now, Alex Prichet says fatalities confirmed in Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana. Well, here in Nashville, it's day 7 in the disappearance of 22-year-old Riley Strain, the Missouri college student who vanished after a night on Lower Broad with his fraternity.
There's absolutely no indication whatsoever there's any kind of foul play or other crime involved. This is strictly a missing person investigation at this point. Obviously, those things can always change.
Metro police say he was last seen by friends Friday at Luke Bryan's bar. Security video shows Strain stumbling down the street and falling. Here's Andrea Fujii.
The Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission is now looking into whether bartenders broke the law, which makes it illegal to serve alcohol to someone who is visibly intoxicated. Bryan now speaking out on social media, posting, "Y'all, this is scary," praying for his safe return. Authorities have been searching for nearly a week without finding any trace of Strain, even deploying boats to search waterways.
Yeah, his last known location was somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. And over at the state capitol, a bill is advancing that requires Tennessee law enforcement to communicate with federal immigration authorities when they come across illegal immigrants. There are other efforts to expand the law against transporting illegal immigrants to Tennessee or in the state. Right now, it's just for people to do it for money, but this new effort makes it a misdemeanor for any reason. Had your breakfast yet? There's a big problem at some fast food outlets around the world. Tom Rivers is in London.
McDonald's has suffered a reported IT system outage affecting some of its thousands of restaurants. It's left people in some cases unable to order food. Customers here in the UK and elsewhere, like in Germany, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, have been complaining about issues trying to buy from the fast food giant. Some say they've encountered cash-only payments being accepted until the problem's resolved.
All right, let's check futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 73, NASDAQ up 24, S&P up 10. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Happy Friday, my friends. It is 7:07 in the morning. It's Friday, baby. It's going to be a great weekend. Johnny B sitting in for Dan Manis on Nashville's Morning News. along with Ken Weaver and Mason Fleming. We are so happy to have you here. The Members Nutrition Super Text line, you can get involved there at 615-737-9986. And Super Talk TV, you can find us by going to these locations. Mason.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and on our WTN app.
And some of you have commented on my Kid Rock t-shirt. And yeah, I dig Kid Rock. I like his music. And unbeknownst to me, my wife, Glenna, she actually tried to get Kid Rock on the show with us. I had no idea. Yeah, she got in touch with some people, but I doubt he's going to make it on because Kid Rock is in Texas right now. And he made quite an entrance yesterday, riding a horse to his hit song Cowboy to announce the professional bull riders teams for his inaugural Kid Rock's Rock and Rodeo being held at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington on May 17th. Unfortunately, he didn't get to change or charge across the turf with his hair blowing in the breeze. He said, I get there and they're like, we have a showed horse on concrete. I'm like, oh, yeah, this probably isn't going to look as badass as I had pictured. But trust me, dude, you made it look that way. But that's pretty cool. And that's why I like the dude. He is he's one of us, baby. It's 7:09 and yeah, we teased this in the last hour, but Bernie Sanders has come forward. And the senator from Vermont yesterday, or actually Wednesday, introduced a bill to establish a 4-day work week in the United States without any reduction in pay. The bill over a 4-year period would lower, according to him, the threshold required for overtime pay from 40 hours to just 32 hours. It would require overtime pay at the rate of 1.5 times a worker's regular salary for workdays longer than 8 hours, and it would require overtime pay at double a worker's regular salary for workdays longer than 12 hours. And so Bernie kind of explained it this way. A lot of, because workers are working longer hours now, but they're making lower wages. And he's also added artificial intelligence being a factor.
Despite massive growth in technology and worker productivity, millions of workers in our country are working longer hours for lower wages. As a result of the extraordinary technological transformations that we have seen in recent years, American workers are now over 400% more productive than they were in the 1940s. While CEOs today are making 350 times as much as their average employees, workers throughout the country are seeing their family life fall apart.
So I guess you don't get to spend as much time with your family because you're working so many hours. And a lot of you, I know, are working several jobs. In fact, a lot of people here are, including our own Mason Fleming, who's one of the hardest working men I've ever known. But Bernie kind of mapped out how this will work. Okay, hang on. My fault. I'm so sorry. I hate this system. I really do. It's not user-friendly. But this is what he had to say.
The question that we are asking today is a pretty simple question. Do we continue the trend that technology only benefits the people on top, or do we demand that these transformational changes benefit working people? And one of the benefits must be a lower work week.
Bernie, all that's going to happen with that plan, I'm telling you, is that we are going to be replaced with artificial intelligence. And with computers, the technology is there. And all an employer is going to do is look at the bottom line. And will he want someone just to work 4 days a week? It will not grow. It will not grow the paycheck. Trust me. This is why the Democrats are so inept at handling business and handling the economy. This is not going to work, and for many reasons. And there's a big reason why wages have gone down. And a lot of it is caused by what's happening now with the influx of even more illegal immigrants into our country. You know, President George W. Bush always said, Americans just won't, the illegals are doing the jobs Americans just won't do. Well, George, the problem was that wages had gone down. In fact, we did a test on the Phil Valentine show when I worked with that show. We had the head of a construction company call in, said he couldn't find American workers. Nobody would work. And Phil asked him how much he was offering per hour. And I can't remember the exact number, but it was around like $20 an hour. So Phil said, well, we'll do a little test here and see if we can get you some American workers. We took calls for an hour and a half from people that were willing to work. But what happened is once these workers got in touch with the gentleman, all of a sudden that $20 an hour wasn't there. It was lower wage than that. That's why he wasn't getting American workers. And that's what Phil tried to explain. And all of us that know the problem is that some of these employers aren't paying wages that Americans want to work for. It's too low. We've had the same problem in radio a lot of times. People don't want to work the hours because the pay may be low. And with the Democrats, they argue that immigration is going to bring down inflation because it increases the supply of labor. And the additional supply of labor supposedly pushes down wages. Or pushes down inflation, I'm saying. According to the Democrats. They say it pushes down inflation. So people on the left, American on the left, and also those on the what we call the corporate allied American right, which I like to call the what do I call it? It's the good old boy buddy system of the elite Republicans. They've argued that immigrants do not depress the wages of natives, but that inflation is a problem for Democrat politicians. Illegal immigrants have somehow discovered how to drag down wages. And I'll explain this in more detail coming up. It's 7:15, time to check the roads from the WTN Traffic Center. Appreciate it, Jack. Look for more showers today, possibly a thunderstorm, nothing severe, with a high of 67. We'll clear out for Saturday with a high of 69. On Sunday, look for a little cooler temperature, high of 62, and it turns cold on Monday with a high of 47, low of 28. So we were talking about Bernie Sanders and his big 4-day work week idea, and that Democrats think that illegal immigrants really don't, they help basically with, they totally believe that illegal immigrants are going to help with inflation. Now, they do increase the supply of labor to domestic employers, but they also increase the demand for goods. They also demand more services that are offered in our economy. And that's part of what Joe Biden's offering them is free stuff. And that's the big draw of the Democrat Party, free stuff. Folks, there's nothing for free. Let's get that straight right away. Somebody's got to pay for it. It may be Mason over here who's working his tail off. While he works his tail off, somebody's sitting on their butt at home not doing a damn thing. And I'm not saying everybody on government assistance is doing that. Some people desperately need it. Some people are not able to work. And I understand that, and I feel for them. But for too long, the government has allowed people that are able to work just sit on their rear end. And now we have a big group of people coming across I'm talking, good Lord. Just think of all the people that have come across the border. So unless you believe that the illegal immigrants are especially productive at work and they're wise in their spending, they're consuming just like we are, as much as they produce, which is going to add to the balance of the supply and demand. In the near term, they are almost certainly consuming more than they produce because they need to be fed and housed immediately. The current illegal immigration surge is unlikely to be supplying labor where it is most needed. In fact, a lot of these people that are coming across the country, across our border, are not here for a better life. They're here for other reasons. And that's the problem. I would love for any immigrant to come here legally. And if it's someone that can add to our economy and add to the greatness that can be the United States, I'm all for it. I think most logically thinking Americans do feel that way. And some of the best Americans, I've said this over and over, some of the best Americans I've ever met are people that are immigrants that have come from other countries. But this latest surge that we've got is very unlikely to be supplying labor where it is most needed. And even we grant that wages would drive inflation, the tools that are in place that matters for the purposes of evaluating the import of immigration, while some economists think that wages as a cost of business that can get passed on to consumers is the form of higher prices, the more credible model says that rising wages do not push up inflation, but may pull it higher by giving workers more buying power. But in that case, illegal immigration will not reduce inflation because it does not take away from worker income. It just spreads it around. So what Democrats are hoping for is that they want to solve the inflation problem by allowing illegal immigration crisis to continue to bring more of these people into the country. That's not the only reason they're doing it, by the way. They're also doing it because they see their party's support crumbling, because people are finally seeing that these policies do not work. Even some on the left are saying it does not work. And so what they're hoping is they'll make some progress, flip these disapproval ratings they have, and if the Fed would agree with them, maybe interest rates would come down as illegal immigration rates go up. But folks, that's not going to occur. Illegal immigration is a huge problem, and it's a problem that has its tentacles in a lot of our problems. It's not all the problems we face in this country, but it is a huge factor. It doesn't lower inflation. And it's not going to convince the Fed to lower rates. So you're not going to see that happen either. And a lot of super texters have some great insights to this. 1527 says we need to boycott Tyson Foods here in Tennessee. Firing Americans, hiring illegals. And that's very true. We need to punish the employers that are bringing in illegal immigrants. Because all they're doing, they want slave labor. That's all it is. It's a point of greed. And this is not capitalism. It's crony capitalism. And we've been living with it for a while. And it's not true capitalism. That's what I'd like to see us go back to, is true capitalism. But we're not going to do it if we keep bringing in illegal immigrants at such a number that Joe Biden's administration is doing right now. And people like Mason, people like myself, maybe like you, are going to be working many jobs just to keep our homes afloat. It's 7:22. We've got news, and he's been a busy man this morning. What's coming up at 7:30 in the news, Ken?
Well, Brother Johnny B, we've got multiple tornado deaths from that severe weather outbreak. It stretched from Texas to Ohio. Right now, we've got tornado warnings popping up in Alabama. It's day 7 in the search for Riley Strain and another failed test run to put humans on the moon. These stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken. I appreciate it. Also, we have another super texter. Lisa says, remember diseases too. Apparently, leprosy is on the rise in the country, and everybody that is surprised for some reason as to where it came from. I'm telling you, that's another thing that we're going to see. You're going to see a lot of diseases pop up that haven't been seen in this country in quite a while. We have more illegal immigration news coming up, and it's pretty stifling. It's coming up after 7:30 at 7:35. It's Nashville's Morning News. Johnny B in for Dan Mandis. Dan will return on Monday. We're looking forward to his return. Hope you are as well. And we've got more coming up. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to be a wet commute, but at least the severe weather threat is gone for Middle Tennessee. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Got multiple tornado deaths to report. Alex Prechet reporting from hard-hit Logan County in Ohio.
Authorities say at least 2 people died in Lakeview when suspected tornadoes ripped through the region. Residents there calling it pure devastation.
It's bad. It's very bad.
Cars mangled, power lines strewn across roads, leaving thousands in the dark.
Meanwhile, 6 fatalities total in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Authorities near Louisville say the storms damaged at least 50 buildings, including homes.
What do you go through your head in a moment like that?
Hey, there ain't nothing you can do. But it's going to get you. It's going to get you.
And farther south, damage in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, debris scattered.
That's Rhiannon Alley reporting. Here in Nashville, the search is on for suspects after a shootout on the interstate near Haywood Lane last night. 1 person injured. I-24 traffic tied up for hours. It is day 7 in the search for Riley Strain, the Missouri college student who vanished during a night on Lower Broad with his fraternity. Metro Police Sergeant Bob Nelson says he was last seen on cameras walking towards the Cumberland River.
We're trying to utilize everybody on foot, on boat. We've utilized aviation. Office of Emergency Management has come out the past couple of days, couple of times, both with a boat, with sonar, as well as with their drone.
And authorities have requested data from Strain's now dead iPhone and Apple Watch.
But right now, we have requested some of that information. We've done emergency pings, and we're just trying to get that information from them.
Strain's last known location was somewhere between the Woodland to Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. Another test run for sending humans to the moon is in the books with mixed results. Maria Villarreal reporting from South Texas.
SpaceX expected Starship would survive re-entry to the atmosphere, but break apart when it hit the ocean.
The heat chill tiles doing their work up to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit, that those heat chill tiles are dissipating.
Instead, the spacecraft lost contact and burned up on its way back to Earth.
Its 2 previous tests ended in explosions. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Good morning. It's 7:38 Friday morning. Yeah, we made it to the weekend. Johnny B sitting in for Dan Mandis today on the Nashville's Morning News, along with Ken Weaver. Mason Fleming's here as well. And you can get in touch with us. Members Nutrition Super Text line. The number is 615-737-9986. If you want to watch the proceedings on your computer, you can do so with Super Talk TV, which you can find at these locations. Mason Fleming.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and on our WTN app, where you can take it anywhere you go.
Thank you, my brother. Glad
Yes,
to have
sir.
you here, and cars running okay. I know I ask you that every morning, but they want to know.
I would say, who knows? It could change at any point at this moment. I took it into AutoZone yesterday to get it checked out, and so far the batteries worked. They tested it just to make sure everything was working, and it looks all right. So I'm hoping it stays that way.
I hope so too.
Me too.
Man, nothing's worse than, going in to get the car looked at and, it's going to need this. Especially when you're in radio. That's bad news.
Yeah. Give you a once over and go, how many arms and legs can you afford to spend there?
Yeah, not much.
It's like, I need my left one to right. So.
Yeah, I'm going to have to run to work, so I'm going to need one of those legs. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to the Tennessee National Guard. I don't know if you guys heard the interview yesterday that Brian Wilson had on the drive. May I add here, too, that we have some of the finest individuals, some of the best hosts on this radio station. You have Dan Mandis in the morning with Nashville's Morning News, who does a fantastic job. And then Chris Hand, who's our newest. He is a young gentleman, and he's doing a fine job as well. And in fact, yesterday got a surprise call. Yes, he did, from none other, and the name is escaping me. You're going to have to help me here.
Tim Burchett.
Tim Burchett, thank you. How can I forget Tim Burchett? He's one of my favorite people, but it's called old man disease. But also, you have Matt Murphy at 12 noon, who is a fantastic host and just a great guy. Another great guy is Brian Wilson for the drive for your ride home. And in fact, today, Phone Your Farb Friday. You don't want to miss that. But he also had on Governor Lee yesterday, and we've got to say that we're very proud of our own Tennessee National Guard. Of course, we're trying to help out Governor Abbott in Texas. And Governor Lee asked for 100 volunteers. Out of the Tennessee National Guard, he got 400 volunteers. And I understand more to come, more wanting to go. This is what he had to say about that yesterday on Brian's show.
We all know the crisis that exists there, and the national security issue that it is, the human trafficking and drug trafficking and sex trafficking, and it is an unspeakable crisis that has to be addressed. Federal government isn't addressing it, and Governor Abbott's made the decision he's going to on the border of Texas with Texas Resources. So he asked for other states to help, and the volunteer state did.
Yeah, that's why they call us the volunteer state. I don't care what's involved. But you ask people to volunteer to help in this state, man, you're going to get an overwhelming response. And that's one reason I love living in this state, because we have some of the best people I'm talking about in this country right here in the great state of Tennessee. And the border is getting bad. It's getting real bad. In fact, if you go to the fair site, which I do every day, and I look at the counter, because they have a counter on there on illegal border crossings. And, of course, this is at fairus, all one word, .org. And if you look at their counter, and it's been growing bigger every day. Usually, as we started out the week, it was around 1,900. But now, in the last couple of days, it's swelled over 2,000. And no difference today at 7:42 this morning. With you going to work, with you starting your day, 2,421 illegal border crossings have happened. And these are border crossings that we know of, but there are some out there that we have no idea about. They call those gotaways. And Brandon Judd, who is the president of the National Border Patrol Council, told Newsmax on Thursday that when it comes to the gotaways, this is the most scary aspect of border security. He said these individuals have entered the United States illegally, but they have not come into contact with customs or border control. And they're estimated to be close to Listen to this. If you thought that number I just gave you was high, this is estimated to be close to 1.2 million people. And it's not just people from Ecuador, it's not just people from Mexico. These are people from terrorist countries. These are people from China. In fact, I've understood from a lot of people from the border that a lot of people that have come over and a lot of them that have become gotaways are actually Chinese young men, fighting age, that are entering the country. And Judd, of course, criticized the intelligence community and President Joe Biden's administration for failing to discuss how serious a threat the open border is to national security. And it truly is. He said one of the biggest attacks on democracy is when our government withholds information from the American people to allow them to make informed decisions on what's best for them. He also endorsed former President Donald Trump in this year's presidential election. He explained that the Border Patrol has known about ISIS operating at the U.S. southern border for 2.5 years. And he says that the FBI director, Chris Wray, is now just barely talking about it because we would have gotten out ahead of that problem potentially, but now it's a huge problem. ISIS is at the border. And you can't sneeze at that. I mean, that's just something you can't take lightly. This is serious. And you can't look the other way because it's depressing news. It's like we always say, right now is the time you should be getting involved and getting engaged in politics and in talk radio, because this is where you're going to hear the truth. This is where you're going to hear about things like this. You're not going to hear it with George Stephanopoulos or with Michael Strahan or or you're not even going to hear it on ABC News that we run. They're not going to talk about this. And they're also not going to talk about the children that have come across our border illegally. And I feel for them because they are true victims and they are being used. And there are thousands of them that the government doesn't even talk about. And I worry about those children. I mean, I'm talking every day I think about them. They're being used. And they're being used for horrible, horrible purposes. Used to get into the country. They're used for labor and sex trafficking, but they don't want to talk about that. That's too extreme. Running a little bit late, it's 7:46. Time to check the roads from the WTN Traffic Center. Thank you much, Jack. Hope you're enjoying your jerky this morning. Looking at our weather, showers is going to continue most of the day, possibly a thunderstorm, but nothing severe. High of 67. Enjoy tomorrow because it's going to be sunny. We'll have a high of 69, but that's going to come to an end. Mostly cloudy Sunday with a high of 62. And when you start your work week out next week, on Monday, the high's only going to be 47 and the low getting down to 28. That's why I always try to tell newbies that come to Tennessee when they start going, hey, man, is the winter weather over? No, it's not. It will make a comeback always and surprise you and the plants that you have that are budding. So you may want to take care of them as well. We're talking about illegal immigration and, of course, of the gotaways that are coming across. And, of course, ISIS now at the border. And they've been there for a while, but our own U.S. government, Biden's administration, has totally ignored that. And allowing immigrants to fly around the U.S. without proper identification or vetting, of course, that's putting our citizens in danger. Congress can prevent the flights from landing at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in D.C., according to Senator Roger Marshall. He appeared on Newsmax on Thursday. He said Congress has the ability to control who comes in and out of the D.C. airport, so What we're saying is any airline that allows these illegal immigrants onto their planes and allows them to use the CBP One app as their identification is that they can no longer fly into D.C. We're essentially pushing back on every airline saying if you're doing this, you can no longer land in D.C. His comments came as he responded to a recent report from the Center of Immigration Studies showing Customs and Border Protection approved flights transported 320,000 illegal immigrants into at least 43 U.S. airports. And I've heard unconfirmed reports that we've had some come into this area, which I know we have. Maybe not by airports, but we've had illegal immigrants. This state has had the same problem. Marshall has introduced legislation to stop the flights into Washington. And he said Joe Biden has paroled over 2 million people illegally. And this flying in these planes pulls in people across America. And then they get here. And when they get here, they give them a CBP, which is a One app where they can download, then they can hop on another airplane, use that as their documentation, as their identification. And as we pointed out yesterday, one of our own Democrats, no surprise here, Senator Heidi Campbell, tried to pass legislation to give illegal immigrants driver's licenses, which we tried to do in the early 2000s. And that did not end well for a lot of people. And of course, it was stopped. Thank goodness. So something that didn't work before, she's trying to implement again. Of course, she lost, thank goodness. But immigrants are being allowed on airplanes without any identification, even a driver's license or passport. They haven't been properly vetted. And they're exposing Americans to who knows what as we fly across the country, not to mention, as one of our super texters pointed out, the diseases that are coming into the country. You're seeing diseases that we thought were long ago gone, that we would never see again. And it's happening. And Joe Biden and his administration are allowing it to happen. And that's their job, is to keep Americans safe. But they're not. In fact, Laken Riley, look what happened to her. Just out for a morning jog. Illegal immigrant who'd been arrested before, by the way, and let go. Murdered her. And of course, President Biden can't even get her name right. It's sad. I mean, I can't believe what's happening in our country. At all. But it is, and it's something that we're going to have to deal with. Another story I had this week, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Of course, Senator Rand Paul was ripping former President Trump earlier this week for his endorsement of former House Intelligence Committee Chair Mike Rogers. He's a Republican from Michigan. And his bid for Senate, and he claimed the former congressman was the worst deep state candidate this cycle. He also said that he was a never-Trumper, which he has been critical of Donald Trump. My take on that was that Trump had endorsed him because he wanted – I've always noticed Trump, if there's somebody that's a huge critic of his, but he thinks they're brilliant, he will invite them into his inner circle. He's done this with people that are in the media that have been critical of him. But if he finds them to be intelligent, or if he finds them to be useful in some way, he'll court them. And usually he's been successful. The guy is one of the best negotiators out there. You may hate him. You may not like his style, but somehow he knows how to negotiate with people, even people that don't like him. And I'm thinking the same thing with Rogers. I was told by somebody that shall remain nameless, but they're in the inside workings of the Republican Party. They know a lot about it. They said his endorsement is because Rogers is leading, and Trump knows he has to have and has to win the Senate or face impeachment on day one of him being elected. And they tell me it looks like Republicans will take the Senate, but Rogers has a key point in becoming the majority. So I appreciate that info, and that makes sense as well. And it's probably more on key than what I was even saying. But I don't doubt for a minute that Trump will use somebody whom he thinks is brilliant, even if they are against him. At 7:53, the news is coming up at 8 o'clock, and Ken Weaver will have all that coming up. What's going to happen, Ken?
Well, at least half a dozen are dead after the severe weather outbreak, and there was a close call here in Tennessee we'll tell you about. Metro Police investigating a shootout on the interstate in Antioch. It is day 7 since the disappearance of Missouri college student Riley Strain. And a bizarre scene at a major tennis tournament in Southern California when bees started swarming. Details at 8 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. At 7:54, judging by the super text, people are getting tired of the illegal immigration talk. So fine, I'll change, because coming up, you won't believe what the CIA was doing on January 6th. It's quite disturbing. We'll have that story for you at 8:05 right here on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
8 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. We've also got breaking news I need to get to right now. Smoke is seen near the Lincoln Memorial on the Washington National Mall. Right now, fire crews are responding to that in our nation's capital. And in Georgia, a judge has ruled that Fani Willis can stay on former President Trump's election interference case only if the special prosecutor that she hired and had a personal relationship with leaves. So 2 big breaking stories there in Georgia, and then the Washington National Mall, smoke around the Lincoln Memorial. We'll wait to see what that's all about. We do know that severe weather overnight is blamed for at least 6 fatalities from Texas to Ohio. Here's Rhiannon Alley.
Sound like a freight train coming through our front room.
In central Ohio, authorities responded to a mass casualty event after a half-mile wide tornado hit the village of Lakeview, destroying a mobile home community and buildings downtown.
Our laundromat is gone. It's very bad. It's pure devastation. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life.
In Indiana, authorities said they were working to confirm reports of fatalities from a likely tornado that hit the city of Winchester.
Yeah, authorities near Louisville say the storms damaged at least 50 buildings, including homes. And here in Tennessee, Channel 4 says there was a close call in Lawrence County. Crews rescued 2 people in a car which was swept away by floodwaters over a low-water bridge and into a creek. Here in Nashville, Metro Police investigating after a shootout on the interstate in Antioch last night. Happened right before 10 o'clock at Haywood Lane. 1 person taken to the hospital with critical injuries. Today marks 7 days since the disappearance of Missouri college student Riley Strain, last seen after getting asked to leave Luke Bryan's bar where he was with his fraternity. Police say they're trying to pinpoint his location by his phone and watch, which have since lost power.
Some of the data we're still waiting on. There's a legal process when you're getting some of this information, and so sometimes it's multiple steps, and a lot of it depends on the company that you're trying to get that information, whether it's social media or a cell phone company.
No foul play suspected. Right now, Strain's last known location was somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. And a bizarre scene at a major tennis tournament in Southern California where thousands of bees swarmed the court at the Indian Wells Open yesterday. A top player stung.
Ladies and gentlemen, play suspended due to bee invasion.
The bees stinging the second-ranked player in the world, Carlos Alcaraz, on the head as they swarmed the camera above the court. The queen bee apparently taking up residence on the camera.
If the queen's there, they will follow that thing.
The sting Carlos Alcaraz suffered did not slow him down.
Well, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit afraid of the bees.
He went on to easily beat his opponent.
All right. I've never seen something like that before. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Futures ahead of this morning's opening bell on Wall Street. Looks like Dow futures are up 42. NASDAQ down 15. S&P is up 3. Once again, the late breaking news is that the judge in Georgia says that the district attorney, Fani Willis, can stay on former President Trump's election interference case only if the special prosecutor she hired and had a personal relationship with leaves. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, good morning. It's 8:08. It's Johnny B in for Dan Mandis. Dan's going to return on Monday morning. We're looking forward to having him back. And, of course, you have Mason Fleming here along with me and Ken Weaver. And you can get in touch with us. We're the Members Nutrition Super Text line. And, boy, it's been busy this morning and a lot of criticism. But I take it. I appreciate it. 615-737-9986. You can also watch us on Super Talk TV to tell you about the locations. You can check that out. Here's our own Mason Fleming.
Head over to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, or our WTN app to watch us and see our beautiful faces on the morning here.
Well, especially yours and Ken's. I've got a face.
I wouldn't go that far, yeah.
I've got a face for radio. That's why I got into business. I didn't know they were going to put us on camera.
Neither did I, but I'm here to help in any way I can, whether it's to show my ugly mug or to help run the board.
Dude, you're not ugly. I'm the ugly one. And the rest of the cast, the rest of the day, the rest of these guys are good-looking cats. You've got the young Chris Hand coming up at 9 a.m. Plus, this morning, he's got Kennedy with him, his daughter. What a lovely child she is.
She's super nice. Yeah.
She is really nice. That boy has raised some great kids.
She brought a little book with her, too.
Did she really?
Yeah, reading about Matilda.
Oh, how cool. And she's eating jerky right now. I gave her her pay.
You didn't give her that Inferno jerky, did
No.
you?
No.
Whew,
no.
Boy.
Oh, yeah. That Ken, I think you're about the only person that likes that Inferno.
Oh, boy. My whole family does.
Oh.
But they're not getting any of it.
I'm a little curious now.
I hope your wife isn't listening.
She's not. She's at work.
Oh, okay. Kids don't listen either.
Yeah, the daughter's asleep and the son's at school.
Oh, well, you're safe. It's all yours, baby.
It sure is.
I love it. Now, everybody got jerky. I was telling Mason except me. But I'll get that at home.
She's probably got some extra for you.
Oh, yeah, she always does. But she's a great cook, man. That girl... I'm telling you, I won the lottery when I met her. Thank you, Jesus. Appreciate it. But, yeah, Dan Mendes is going to be back. In fact, I saw a picture this morning of Dan and Amy at a sunrise over some locale. I don't know where it was, but they looked really happy and enjoying themselves. So he has to come back to reality Monday because it's going to be like 47 degrees. It's going to be cold.
Yeah, exactly what it was on the ocean. Perfect tanning weather. All the clouds out and the rain falling from the sky.
Oh, yeah. And I'm getting hammered on the Super Text line about talking about illegal immigration. Folks, the reason I really am driving it home is because that's the number one concern to me. And I don't have a show. I guest host, and it's periodically, and it's really spaced out. So I feel like people aren't really hearing a lot of information that I think they need to hear. And if you don't like it, this is America. It's free. I don't want you to turn away, but if it really bothers you that much, then turn away. Now, some are saying on here, too, that it frustrates them because it just feels like we can't do anything. Yes, we can. We can do something. And some people out there are doing something. Like Tim Burchett. There's a man that, I'm telling you, that guy, after hearing him with Chris Hand yesterday, and what I've noticed about this guy, he's a statesman. He's not a politician. He could care less about going to high-class dinners or being with the right people or moving up or being a kingmaker or all these other things that some of these people get in politics for. A lot of politics is truly ego-driven. It's truly money-driven. And it's become more and more that way. They become kings and queens. But he is not. He's genuine. And he's the first politician in a long time I've been excited over. And I loved hearing him yesterday with Chris Hand. We'll play a little bit of that during the Gang of Four Amigos coming up at 8:35. But you want to hear about some other things? Well, okay. There's a lot in the news. One that really is troubling to me is you won't believe what the CIA was up to on January 6th. Now, why would they be involved with January 6th? Because usually, the CIA doesn't spy on citizens. The CIA is used more so for spying on, well, our detractors overseas, people that may be causing us trouble in some of our areas that, are threatening to us, like the Mideast. But they were involved with January 6th. I'm going to give you the details of what they were doing because Judicial Watch has found out through documents of what the CIA was up to that day. It's quite alarming, and we'll have that for you coming up. But first, we must go to the traffic center, WTN Traffic Center, and find out what's happening with the traffic with Jack Womack. Well, the big thunder boomers that kept us up all night seem to be pretty much over. We're going to have showers all day. Could see a thunderstorm sneak in, but it won't be quite like what we saw last night. High of 67 today. Tomorrow will be sunny and beautiful, and enjoy it while you got it. High of 69. Sunday will be cooler with a high of 62. And then Monday, look out. It's going to be cold. High of 47, low of 28. So cover those plants that are starting to bud. That's the ones you want to keep. Right now, we're at, what did you tell me, 63? All right, 63 right here, and it's just cloudy right now. So we've gone without the rain for a while. That's cool. Anyway, the CIA on January 6th of 2021, text messages have been obtained by a Judicial Watch, and they show that several teams were deployed to the Capitol on that day. Judicial Watch sued the Justice Department for not responding to an FOIA report and request. The DOJ handed over documents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives that included the next messages. And basically, the one series of messages said that 2 CIA bomb techs are assisting with a pipe bomb scene on New Jersey and D Street Southeast, the location of where the pipe bombs were allegedly left at the Republican National Committee and the Democrat National Committee headquarters. Another series of text messages said several CIA dogs and their dog teams are on standby. The striking records show that the CIA resources were deployed in reaction to the January 6th disturbance, according to Tom Fitton, who is the Judicial Watch president. It is the first time the CIA's role in the response to the events at the Capitol has been unearthed. Chris Farrell, who's Judicial Watch's Director of Research and Investigation, Thursday told the Salem News Channel's America First, we have the same questions you do. What is a national intelligence collection agency whose mission is overseas operating domestically with law enforcement at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th? That is a disturbing question. The CIA usually isn't involved in police matters. Like we say, they're most involved with overseas situations. Very interesting and something that we need to delve deeper into, and I hope Judicial Watch and other sites will do that for us. Because there is a lot about January 6th that just is not adding up in my eyes. And I'd like to know more about it. And hopefully one day we will get to the bottom of it. Now, also, everybody's talking about TikTok. Well, there's someone that wants to buy TikTok, and that's former U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. He said he's going to put together an investor group to buy TikTok And this was after the House of Representatives passed a bill that would ban the popular video app in the U.S. if its China-based owner doesn't sell its stake. Now, TikTok, which has over 170 million American users, man, that's a lot, is a wholly owned subsidiary of Chinese technology firm ByteDance Limited. Mnuchin said on Thursday that he believes TikTok should be sold. He was on CNBC's Squawk Box. He said it should be owned by U.S. businesses. There's no way that the Chinese would ever let a U.S. company own something like this in China. And while I can see both sides in this story. I have a real problem with this. Number one, I'm not a big fan of social media. It's got its uses. I've been able to link up with family members I haven't seen in quite a while because we all live across the country. We're scattered, and I can't go and visit everybody. So for that, it's nice. It's been also nice to catch up with former high school mates and school friends and people from my hometown. Also, it's a great way to communicate with listeners who are friends, basically. I hate to even call them listeners. They're more than that. So it's nice to connect with them. It's nice to connect with old coworkers. But I don't like some of the aspects of what goes into social media. And for those of you that put up these stupid, useless, you think they're legal, and all it is it's bull, where you say, I demand Facebook not use my images. Guess what? They can use anything they want out of your Facebook profile because, number one, you didn't pay for it. And if you didn't pay for it, you don't own it.
And you agreed to the terms.
Yes, you did. You marked on there, you agreed with everything. Same with you TikTok users. So I'm really torn on this. It does bother me that the Chinese government can look into everything that's going on with TikTok, but the Chinese government, thanks to this administration, has already been gathering information. I mean, my gosh, they sent a balloon over us, and Biden wouldn't shoot it down because of the vast population that's in Montana and Wyoming. Not to mention places like Nebraska and Kansas.
But he sure did take care of that Boy Scout kite.
Yeah, he sure did, didn't he? They took that down with no problem. Those Boy Scouts, you got to watch them.
It was blown to smithereens.
Thank God they don't own TikTok, Ken.
Yeah.
We'd be in real trouble.
Might be sleeping in tents.
Without sleeping bags.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to have to watch what happens with TikTok. If Steve Mnuchin gets his way, then he'll be the owner of it, and then everybody can rest easy, I guess. It is 8:22. We've got news coming up at 8:30 with Ken Weaver himself. Ken, what are we going to be waiting for?
Well, we have learned about that smoke seen rising from the National Mall in our nation's capital. Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fonnie Willis said a man ain't a plan, but the man she hired and had a relationship with can't be part of her plan against former President Trump either. These stories and more at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. And going to the Super Text line, Matt says, here's just a public service announcement. Read privacy policies before clicking.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. And also, I have to, Chris Hand said with the illegal immigration, I forgot one job that illegals are doing that no one else is doing. They're bringing fentanyl to the United States. So they're doing that, definitely. But you only get one chance at it. So the turnover is pretty big. So you got to watch out for that. Anyway, we've got the Gang of Four Amigos coming up at 8:35, and we'll be talking to Chris. And I guess he'll have Kennedy with him. So we may get to talk to her as well. And then it's going to be a lot of fun. Keep it right where you've got it. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. The severe weather threat is over for Middle Tennessee. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. That smoke seen rising near the Lincoln Memorial on Washington, D.C.'s National Mall this morning was from a vehicle fire, according to local media reports. And breaking news in the Georgia election interference case, the judge says District Attorney Fani Willis can stay, but the special prosecutor she hired and had a personal relationship with has to leave. And the severe weather outbreak is blamed for at least 6 deaths now. This in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. It spawned tornadoes from Texas to Ohio. Amber Fagan's with the Indian Lake Area Chamber of Commerce there.
Our laundromat is gone. The old plastics building is just completely demolished.
Yeah, the tornado there reported to be half a mile wide. Meanwhile, in Indiana, Bill Wagner says he took cover when he heard a tornado coming.
I just heard that train sound they talk about, and then I started running for the kitchen. It got loud, and I just ducked down on the floor. And then all the insulation hit me.
Here in Tennessee, 2 people had to be rescued from a car that was swept off a bridge into a creek during a flood in Lawrence County. And right now in Nashville, it's day 7 in the search for a missing Missouri college student, Riley Strain. Metro Police say they're waiting for the release of data from Strain's phone and watch.
Right now, we have requested some of that information. We've done emergency pings, and we're just trying to get that information from them.
His last known location was somewhere between the Woodland Street Bridge and James Robertson Parkway. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. We are a couple of minutes into the new trading day now, and it's all red on the screen. The Dow is off 19, NASDAQ down 64, S&P down 14. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, you know what that sound is? That's the sound that tells you it's time for the gang of, it's usually 4, but we have 5 today, and we'll tell you all about that. But let's introduce everybody first. In my usual spot, here's Mason Fleming. Mason, how you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good, Johnny. How you doing?
Any better? Well, let's just say I'm rated PG for pretty good. Over in the newsroom, we have my brother Ken Weaver. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys and young lady.
Yes, sir. And we have over here, of course, the great Chris Handley coming on at 9 till noon.
Good morning. Good morning.
And then we have an amiguette that has joined us today.
Yes.
Yes, and your name is Kennedy.
Yes, sir.
And you happen to be the
Chris
daughter.
Hand's daughter.
There you go.
It's spring break, fellas.
Hey.
She's been itching. She's been itching to get back in here. So
well, it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
You can tag along. We'll put you to work.
Now, see, I heard your dad talking yesterday that they were going to basically put you to work to be an intern and not pay you anything. So my wife heard this.
How rude.
Yeah, it was rude. My wife thought it was very rude. So what she did, she got you your own bag.
A beef jerky.
Yes. Now, what kind did she make you? Did you see?
I have it in my bag.
I don't know. Well, I think you went through it.
Teriyaki.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
Oh, that's a good one.
Teriyaki is one of the best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your own.
So good.
Now, see, now, did you get left out last time? Is that what happened?
Yes.
She heard that as well.
So sad.
Yeah, we didn't want you to
Well,
be.
it wasn't my fault. Her mom finished the beef jerky.
Oh, it was Mama's fault.
It was Mom.
Now the story comes out.
It said Chris Hand and fam, and Kennedy didn't make it home from school in time for it.
Oh.
And I bet you said, I'm part of the fam.
Yes.
So, yeah, you should have gotten some. So now you've got your own. The family has to share with Dad, but you've got your very own.
My very own.
That's right.
I said to her, doesn't this beef jerky ruin the stuff in the stores?
Yes.
Boy, it does. Now you see why I have to watch my weight. Because she feeds me so well. She won't let me cook, though. There's a good reason for that.
I don't blame her.
I don't either.
No.
And the rest of the guys got some jerky, too.
Oh, man.
Ken Weaver got that.
I got my favorite Inferno.
Inferno. That's
nice.
It's a slow burn.
Yes, it is.
And like it starts out, you can taste the spice, and then it just kind of rises.
See, be that kind we give Dan Mandis, and he would sound like Dudley from Wild Hog.
That's where my mind went.
He likes a mild turkey chili.
Yeah.
We may have to play that cut again just for the fun of it since he's coming back Monday. We're looking forward to it, though. But, yeah, I was listening to you yesterday, Chris.
Yeah.
You had a great show, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But what was very cool, one of my favorite people, and I don't call him a politician because he's not. He's a statesman.
Yep.
And we need more of those gentlemen, and that's Tim Burchett.
Yeah, he called into the show. He was just listening and wanted to get in on the conversation. So I remember Mason was producing, and he called. It was like one of the short breaks. He was like, well, tell him to call back. We'll give him a long break. And what did he say?
He was like, I'll gladly call back. He wanted to touch on the topic. He just was listening with his daughter in the car as they were driving through Nashville.
See
and
there?
We're able to have a conversation.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, his daughter was on spring break, too.
Yeah,
so.
it's spring break time for everybody. And
Yeah,
then,
it is.
Well, Congress, they're always on break. One way or another.
Spring break.
It's called year break.
I think it's about that time to shut down the government again. That's,
Yeah, let's shut that down one more time. What was cool about the interview was this segment here that I loved. And it's such a Tim Burchett moment because he does not hold back. He tells the truth, which is another oddity in politics right now.
Yep.
It's truthfulness from a politician.
Well, this is like that's what people are really like. They want. They're dying for authenticity. Even if you're authentically somebody I don't like, I prefer that authenticity over fakeness.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I like people to be real. Well, I think that's why Donald Trump resonated with so many voters, is that he came off, he's just himself.
Yep. Unapologetically.
Whether you like him or you don't. He's just being real. But Tim was real on this, and you were asking about what was said between Joe Biden and himself when he was getting ready to give the State of the Union address.
Yep.
And of course, I think our own Annie Ogles was there too.
Yeah, so when Biden walked in, the first two people that stopped him were Ogles and Burchett.
Yeah. Well, Burchett's story was the funniest.
I was actually talking to him about Corvettes,
and chocolate chip ice cream. He had, and then I told him how much. I told him about my brother had a '72 Corvette with a 350, and how I peeled out in Brunswick Billiards parking lot on a date one night. And then I told him that my wife really liked peppermint chocolate chip ice cream and Corvettes. And then he said, "Can I get her number?" And then I thought, "No way, creepy old man. I'm not giving you her number."
I don't blame him.
No.
What a creeper.
Well, and if you think about it, the state of mind this president's in, he might have been serious.
Oh, he probably was. What's your number?
What kind of soap she used?
Where's Don?
Oh my gosh.
Where's Don?
I couldn't believe that he just randomly called in.
That was very cool.
That was awesome.
That was very cool. But that's what's good about your show. Plus, if you don't listen to WTN during the day, you miss a lot. Like yesterday, you had Brian Wilson had the governor on, and that was good. But this was impromptu, which is even better.
Yep.
Because then it's a little more free-willing and off the cuff, which I like.
It was very organic. I had nothing prepared. I was just like, all right, so let's go.
Very cool. Well, you handled it well.
We'll do it live.
And you did a great job with it. Well, you do a great job on the show. And
I appreciate
You've been a good addition to this radio station.
Man, I love being here.
What we all do. And Kennedy, are you thinking about a future in radio, or has your dad told you, please don't?
Well, I want to be on radio stations, but I also want to do acting.
Oh, do you? You want to be an actress?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be very cool.
She's been in a couple plays.
8.
You've been in 8 plays. Well, I'll be looking for you.
What was your favorite character, Kennedy?
Junie B.
Junie B.
Well, I like the name.
She starred as Junie B. Jones in the Cannon County production.
Oh, how cool.
Yes.
So Johnny B and Junie B right here. See, we could be a team on here.
Yes.
I love it.
Very cool. Well, we'll look forward to seeing more of your acting and look for you in the future. That's very cool.
Yeah, she does a great job. She really
I bet
does.
she does.
Mm-hmm.
I
I'm in
miss
Finding
that.
Nemo right now.
That little voice. I'm telling you,
I
I am
do
missing
too.
my kids when they were little.
Oh, I know. That makes you long for it, doesn't it?
Goodness. You got a great voice, Kennedy.
Thank you so much.
Great voice.
Well, and two, I can tell he's a good dad because you are very polite and very kind, and you must have great parents.
I do.
Yeah, so there you go.
A little threat goes a long way. You know?
And she has pretty earrings in, too.
Oh, I just got them pierced. Thank you.
Did you really? You just got them pierced?
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. Well, they look beautiful.
Thank you.
There you go. So what are we going to do on spring break? What are some of your plans for spring break?
Going to the Grand Canyon.
Are you really?
All right.
So next week we're going.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. Next week, the redheaded stranger, Pamela Furr, will be filling in for me. And
There you go.
we're taking a trip to Arizona. And we're gonna go say hi to our friends at Turning Point, and then we're going to go to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, that's cool.
All
See,
right.
I've never been in the Grand Canyon. I want to go. So tell me about it.
You should come with us.
Well, that'd be kind of fun. I don't know if Dad really, Dad and Mom may not like to have Johnny B along.
Do you know how many kids I have? We'll take all the extra help we can get. we got 4. The more adults, the merrier, Johnny B.
Well, in that case, I may have to call Dan and, hey, Mason. Oh, you would? You've had a rough week, man. I don't know if I'd want to do that to you.
You know what? I don't mind doing it. If you're going to the Grand Canyon, as long as you take some pictures for me, you should be fine.
Yeah, we may have to think about that. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, we're excited. I've never done the Grand Canyon either.
And the kids would love me. Kids love me, man.
Are you kidding?
I'm a lot of fun.
You're Johnny B.
That's right.
Yeah.
You'd have to bring some beef jerky along.
I knew there was something that was going to happen. There was
There's
a
the
caveat.
catch.
There's
Yes,
the hook.
I knew there was. I knew there was going to be.
print.
Yeah, there we go. And see, if that happened, then my wife would want to come.
True.
Yeah, but she's a lot of fun too.
Yes, I bet.
Yeah, she is. She's a lot of fun. In fact, kids love her too. I think they love me more though. Like one of my kids told me, they said, "Dad, you know why Mom didn't like you?" And I said, "Why is that? Because you're funny. You're funny. Mom's not." I don't know if that's true or not, but I appreciated the vote of confidence.
I love it.
So what's coming up on the show today, man?
Well, we have an agenda-free Friday.
Oh, that's right.
We do it every Friday. We let the audience kind of dictate where we go with the conversation. We're gonna dig into the Fannie Willis stuff. That's interesting. That just dropped this morning that she is not really going to be removed, but she could leave. It's a strange ruling. I think the judge is kind of weak, personally. Maybe he's afraid of the woke mobs.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
And I have audio from a couple weeks back when all the hearings were happening, when she was wearing her dress backwards. That really happened, by the way, Kenny.
Yes, it did.
I heard it.
We even put the picture up on our podcast.
Dress was back. The zipper was in the front.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. So there's audio from MSNBC where their legal analysts are like, she's going to be removed. There's no way.
Right.
So what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Even leftist woke media were like, this one's done.
Well, yeah.
She's cooked.
Yeah, they were saying that in fact, they were embarrassed by her.
Yep.
And they said, oh, my gosh, what an embarrassment. She needs to go.
Oh, 100%. Plus, we're going to go down the road of vice presidents. RFK, Aaron Rodgers. Donald Trump says that he's eliminated some choices over bad behavior. And I have a theory on who he may be talking about. A certain governor who's gotten some weird endorsement deals lately.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll talk about all that and more.
Awesome. That sounds good, man. Well, there's a lot going on in the news, and I'm sure Kennedy's going to be involved in the show today.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna put Kennedy to work. He's going to be running the board, answering phones.
Are you really?
Getting coffee.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
She even wants
for
to
us,
do it.
not for you.
Well, Kennedy, I would add, I'm having to get it. Shouldn't I get a little taste?
I think they got hot chocolate back there.
Ooh.
So you can bring me some of that too.
No, I'd rather have hot chocolate over coffee.
Sure.
I hate coffee. I'm not a coffee fan.
No?
Not at all.
Oh, man, I love coffee.
No, it's like tasting dirt to me.
Have you had the Charlie Cold foam from Dunkin' Donuts?
I have not.
You should try it.
Maybe I will now that you've told me about it.
That's the Boston in her. She's like, but have you tried Dunks?
Oh, you mean the Canadian?
Yeah, the Canadian. I didn't say Tim Hortons. I didn't say Tim Hortons.
Oh, someone at my school started calling me Canadian.
Oh, they did because of the show.
No, they don't even.
Oh, they don't even listen.
They called me Canadian, though.
Why did they call you Canadian? Just by the way you talk? That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
these kids.
I know it.
They get meaner every day.
Are you Canadian? And I was like, no.
No, I'm Mexican.
I'll take a free cell phone.
That's what my wife's mother did to her when they were talking. She was going for a job somewhere and her mother was with her. I think this is a story. But they were wanting to know her nationality, which she's American, but she's Native American. She's got a lot of Native American blood in her. But her mother didn't know what to put, so she put Mexican. So for a while, my wife was a Mexican until they got that straightened out. Her mother you'd have to know her mother. She was a sweetheart, but kind of wacky at times. But we loved her. It's 8:51, and Ken Weaver's going to be up with the news at 9 o'clock. Ken, what is coming up in the news?
A little bit more about the Georgia DA who said a man ain't a plan. She's going to have to ditch her man for her plan against former President Trump. We've got more on that at 9 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Brother Ken, and thank you, Mason. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me this week. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate everybody listening as well. That's been a lot of fun as well. And Chris Hanford putting up with me during the 4
No, I was going to say, man, it's been a treat having Johnny on this week.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I've been able to listen to you every morning on the way in. I've definitely enjoyed it. You do a bang-up job.
Well, thank you, my brother. Listen to that. Oh, wow.
It's well-deserved.
Boy,
it's well-deserved.
We paid these people well, didn't we?
Yeah, they've been
they
standing
got jerky, too. That's what happened.
I've had him on standby all week, hanging out in the back room for you.
Well, Kennedy, it's been fun talking to you. I'm looking forward to hearing you on Chris's show coming up next.
Thank you.
Watch that Mac Morey. He's a character.
He is.
Yeah, he is. So you got to watch him, but
okay.
I know you'll keep him in line, won't you? Okay. Well, anyway, stay tuned for the Chris Hand Show, starring Kennedy Hand as well, and Mac Morey. They'll be along here just mere moments. And be sure and keep it right here because you've got Super Talk live and local all day, Murphy Show at noon, and, of course, on your ride home, it's The Drive with our friend Brian Wilson. And today is Phone Your Farm Friday, baby. Oh, God, I love Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.